I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. Maybe someday you'll have it your way. Maybe someday it'll all work out. Until then, nope, a nope, a nope, a nope, definitely nope, a nope, nope, a nope. Probably never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. Oh no.
Hello, welcome to Revive Hi-Fi Canada, and our latest episode is featuring the Monitor Audio Silver 3i. And yeah, this is an interesting looking speaker, I have to say. It's got these kind of different shape of grills, as you can see there on the left side. And it's also got a white woofer with a nice golden dust cap with a golden tweeter, and we'll get into that more. What I gotta say is that these are the earlier versions of the Monitor Audio Silver, and we've featured the Monitor Audio Silver 100, the more latest version, the 7G, on this channel. And these are kind of like these are more OG than those. So yeah, though these are the first thing that hasn't changed between now and back then, these must be from the 90s, is that the build quality is top notch. Oh boy, these are like slabs of wood. I love them. I love the color of the wooden case. The veneer is beautifully done, and they're heavy. Like these are extremely heavy speakers. They're just beautiful to look at. They have a 1-inch tweeter, and they have a 5-inch woofer, and the woofer and the tweeter are both made of a ceramic ceramic metal. I think they're called the C-cam mixture or patented material that Monitor Audio uses on their speakers even today, just like the Monitor Audio Silver 100, that 7G that I've featured on our channel. It's very similar to that. They're about 14 inches tall, so they're a little bigger, but that's because, and I've said this many times, that's because it has the port on the front. So we've got a dual port on the front. I'm going to zoom in a little bit right there. Oops. You have a dual port on the front, and these are biampable. So you've got a pretty nice nice quality speaker, typically indicative of higher quality. You have the woofer, it says it's 5-inch, but it's just 5-inch. I'll just say it. They're not large, but they put out some pretty significant bass, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll just keep talking about the build quality. These are biampable, beautiful wood veneer. They have the double front port, as you can see, and they have just a beautiful finish on them. They have that nice front baffle and the white woofer, so it's nice to look at, as well as they sound really good. So let's get into the sound. We'll go first with the bass. The bass is rated down to 45 hertz, I believe, and for a 5-inch woofer, 45 hertz is pretty ambitious. So I will say that they are 8 ohms, so they're easy to drive. They're 88 dB sensitivity. They go down to 45 hertz. My impression of the bass is that in a small room they have more than ample bass, and I use it without a sub. I use these on my desktop. I use them as kind of a 2-channel sound for TV, and it sounded really nice. I would say that on a bigger room, the bass kind of like starts evaporating a little bit. So I would say that I would prefer to use them in a small room. If you're going to use them without a sub. With a sub, they'll do better. But I'll get into other limitations in a bit. The mids are of course beautiful sounding. Voices sound really nice on these. The highs, like these claim that they have a really nice control of the highs, and I have to agree. But you can hear that the newer monitor audio speakers are a bit more refined on the highs than these. But these do get out every ounce of detail that you have in the music. They definitely are able to do that. They do have, I mean, it depends on the room, as with many of the speakers, but I do find they can get kind of a little bit pitchy, I'll call it, in certain rooms, especially rooms with lots of maybe plaster walls. So I mean, that happens to a lot of speakers, so I wouldn't hold that against them. They do have, I would say they have, because they're 88 dB and they're 8 ohms, they can run with various even low powered amps and still sound pretty good. I would say like we tried them in this video first, and I apologize for my camera. They tried them with the Fosi Audio TB10D, I think that's about 45 watts per channel in a Class D, and they sounded pretty good. And then we moved from the Marantz 4320, and it sounded, I would say, slightly bigger. And that seems to be the trend with many of the speakers, is they seem to open up a little bit. When you use the Marantz, it has about 80 watts per channel on that Marantz. Imaging is top notch. So imaging is outstanding. I've called these a keeper series because they are outstanding. I love these for their looks, for their build quality, and for their sound. They're really, really well done, especially for the time. And they are, I would say, the sound stage, as I said, it really, these scale up with the amp. So they do a very good job of that. They do have, I would say, the size of the woofer, I would say, because it's in a small room, even when I used a sub, I would say these are more ideal for a smaller room. I would say in a larger room, even with the sub, I still preferred using these in a smaller room. So keep that in mind. Other than that, I would say beautiful speakers, great sound stage, imaging. They have really nice mids, really nice lows, and quite nice highs as well. I wouldn't go as far as to call them shrill, but they do tend to get a slight metallic taste, I'll call it, when they're getting under certain conditions in certain rooms with certain types of music. So that's narrowing it down quite a bit, because they normally don't have that. So they're very good. I really like these. That's why they are part of the Keeper series. So I think that's all I've got to say about these. We covered the build quality, we covered the bass, the treble, we covered the mids, we covered the sound stage, we covered the imaging. They're built like tanks, extremely well braced, and yeah, Monitor Audio, they do a really good job on speakers. So yeah, especially the ones we've tried. So thank you very much for listening, and if you like our channel, please hit subscribe. It really helps us out. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Revive Hi-Fi Canada. Bye now.